Have you ever noticed that in a party where almost everyone is holding a glass, there is always one person standing with sparkling water or juice instead, and people glance at them sideways? Someone asks, "Why aren't you drinking?" Someone jokes, someone silently judges. Yet almost no one pauses to ask what kind of psychological world stands behind that choice. Today we are going to talk about the psychology of people who do not drink alcohol, not from a place of judgment, not from a moralistic angle, but from the perspective of the mind. Personality structure, decision-making patterns, emotional regulation, and the deeper psychological architecture behind a seemingly simple behavior. In psychology, we have the concept of social conformity, famously explored in the experiments of Solomon Asch, where participants often agreed with a clearly wrong group answer simply to avoid standing out, which shows how powerful the pressure to belong can be even when it contradicts personal perception. When someone chooses not to drink in a social setting where drinking is the norm, they are often going against the current of the group dynamic, and this can reflect an ability to tolerate judgmental looks, subtle social pressure, teasing comments, and the discomfort of being different without immediately adjusting themselves to fit in. This kind of behavior frequently suggests stronger personal boundaries, a clearer sense of self, and a level of internal validation where self-worth is not entirely dependent on external approval, meaning their self-esteem may be rooted more internally than socially. From the perspective of emotional regulation, many people use alcohol as a way to cope with stress, anxiety, social inhibition, or emotional pain. But individuals who do not drink often rely on alternative regulation strategies such as internal dialogue, exercise, structured routines, meditation, creative work, or simply allowing themselves to feel emotions without numbing them. This does not mean they do not experience anxiety or sadness, rather. It may indicate a higher tolerance for uncomfortable emotions or a conscious decision to process feelings instead of suppressing them temporarily through chemical means. From a psychodynamic angle, some behaviors function as temporary emotional anesthesia, and alcohol can lower inhibitions, reduce social anxiety, and soften inner criticism, so a person who enters social environments without that buffer may either have made peace with parts of themselves or be willing to experience vulnerability without artificial support. In personality psychology, particularly within the five-factor model, some research suggests that lower alcohol consumption can correlate in certain cases with higher conscientiousness, stronger future orientation, greater impulse control, and long-term goal focus. Although, of course, this is not for many individuals, abstaining from alcohol is part of a broader lifestyle pattern that includes structure, discipline, health awareness, and long-term planning, where clarity of mind and physical well-being are prioritized over short-term stimulation. Sometimes the choice is deeply personal and rooted in lived experience, such as witnessing addiction in the family, experiencing the negative consequences of substance use in close relationships, or having personally felt the discomfort of losing control. And in these cases, abstinence can function as a psychological protective boundary. The brain learns from emotionally intense experiences, and when alcohol becomes associated with danger, instability, or emotional pain, avoidance can be a rational and self-protective adaptation rather than a rigid moral stance. For some people, not drinking becomes part of identity, whether connected to religious values, athletic commitment, health priorities, or a broader self-definition of discipline and clarity, and when a behavior integrates into identity, it tends to become more stable and less influenced by situational pressure. At the same time, it is important to acknowledge nuance, because not drinking is not always a sign of strength. In certain cases, it may stem from high social anxiety, fear of losing control, a strong need to maintain cognitive dominance over situations, or discomfort with unpredictability. In theories of personality, such as those of Carl Jung, individuals who lean toward introversion often draw energy from solitude and internal processing rather than high-intensity social stimulation. which can make alcohol-centered environments less appealing or simply unnecessary. Therefore, abstaining from alcohol can emerge from confidence and independence or from anxiety and hyper-control. And the key to understanding the psychology lies not in the behavior itself, but in the internal motivation behind it. Some individuals also have heightened bodily awareness and are sensitive to physiological changes such as altered heart rate, dizziness, reduced concentration, or cognitive fog, and for them the sensation of losing mental sharpness can feel deeply uncomfortable. These individuals often value cognitive clarity, sustained focus, and emotional coherence, and the idea of temporarily impairing those capacities may conflict with how they prefer to function in the world. From the perspective of sensation-seeking theory, people vary in how much stimulation and risk they desire, and those with lower sensation-seeking tendencies may naturally prefer stability, predictability, and moderate emotional intensity, which reduces the appeal of alcohol as a source of excitement. Ultimately, human behavior is multi-determined, and not drinking alcohol is neither automatically a sign of psychological superiority nor inherently an indication of weakness, just as drinking in moderation does not automatically signal emotional dysfunction. Psychology invites us to examine behavior within context, within biography, within personality structure, and within coping patterns, rather than isolating a single choice and turning it into a moral or hierarchical label. Perhaps the most important question is not whether someone drinks or does not drink, but whether their choice comes from awareness or avoidance, from grounded confidence or from fear, from alignment with values or from unexamined habit. So, the deeper psychological inquiry is this: is the decision an expression of autonomy and self-knowledge, or is it a strategy to escape discomfort in another form? And how honest are we with ourselves about the motivations behind our own patterns?